First of all, can I thank the organizer committee and program committee for organizing this today and tomorrow, and the beers later. We're often told that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're in the wrong room. So based upon what I've heard already and some of the conversations, I know I'm in the right room. My name's Steve Jones from Huber+Suhner. For those who don't know, we're a Swiss-German manufacturer of a wide range of optical products, from muxes, amplifiers, transceivers, through to cables, connectors, ODFs, and so forth. But I'm here to talk to you today about hollow core fiber and explain why nothing is better than glass for guiding light. I was a telecoms engineer many years ago, but I'm ashamed to say I walked over to the dark side of sales. But I retain a very avid interest in the technology. Not that I can see a lot, but can I ask for a bit of audience participation in terms of raising your arm if you've been involved with fiber for more than 10 years? Here we go. 20 years? 30 years? Oh, some arms going down. 40 years? Well, there are a couple of arms still up in the air. So I remember back in the day, for all the youngsters in the room, back in the day when 2 megabit over a fiber was... So I guess a few of us can remember when single-mode fiber was first commercially deployed in the early 80s. And I would argue that we're at a similar inflection point now with regards to hollow core fiber. We've seen initial commercial deployments of hollow core fiber, mainly from the hyperscalers. It's an historic moment in time. I've called this presentation "Nothing is better than glass for guiding light," and that is because nothing is better than glass for guiding light. It was a phrase from Francesco Pelletti of the University of Southampton, who was a real developer of hollow core fiber. So a bit of history. There's apparently, I haven't measured it all, about 6 billion kilometers of single-mode fiber installed worldwide, and demand is still exceeding supply. We're seeing today an ever-growing demand for single-mode fiber. But as you can see from the diagrams, you can see the telecoms bands in the various lovely colored pictures, from the O band all the way through to the C and the L band, and even beyond that now. And we're seeing a lot of optics vendors looking to extend beyond the C and the L band. But in terms of the fiber itself, in terms of the single-mode fiber, we've seen a measly 0.015 dB kilometer improvement in 38 years. So single-mode fiber has served us well, and it will continue to serve us well. But there's not been that much advancement in terms of the fiber itself. Yes, there's been advancements in terms of the transceivers, the amplifiers, and everything else, but not the fiber itself. A short history of hollow core fiber. The idea was to replace the core with air rather than silica glass, but it's not been that easy. Hollow core fiber traces its history to research labs on optical waveguides in the 60s, metallic pipe products in the 70s, but both were very impractical to deploy and maintain. Much of this talk is around hollow core nested anti-resonance fiber, NANF, adding some more acronyms to the party. It comes with a core of air surrounded by meticulously engineered glass microstructures. Thin glass membranes act as low finesse reflectors that confine light by anti-resonance interference rather than total internal reflection. So this is significantly different to how single-mode fiber works. So we've got, on the bottom drawing there, you've got NANF, nested anti-resonant loadless fiber. I'll get this wrong. I'm bound to get this wrong at least one time. And then you've got some other types of hollow core fiber which are evolving around the bottom. The point here, or the message here, is there is not one type of hollow core fiber. There's double-nested, anti-resonant nodeless fiber. We're even seeing now triple-nested nodeless, triple-nested anti-resonant nodeless fiber. So the diagrams on the right-hand side are showing these different fiber infrastructures. So this is looking down your fiber tube. Much of this talk now is going to be focused on the double-nested anti-resonant nodeless fiber. And the reason for that is quite simple. It's what's being deployed in the market today. So over the last 45 years, and until relatively recently, the attenuation of cross-single-mode fiber and certain forms of hollow core fiber have still remained relatively high. It's only been in the last few years that Luminosity, who were acquired by Microsoft, and we started seeing the attenuation drop below that of single-mode fiber. So what we're showing on the right-hand side, this is a version of double-nested anti-resonant nodeless hollow core fiber. And this is what the fiber looks like if you're peering down the end of the fiber. And you can see in the middle, that's the light. And the bits around the outside are these structures to keep the light in the middle of the fiber. There's some, we're seeing other manufacturers coming to market. So we've seen Lin Fiber from China, and they showed at ECOC in 2025 a 0.05 dB per kilometer. Microsoft, using their DNA NF single hollow core fiber, can deliver ultra-low loss guidance in 2 anti-resonant windows simultaneously. So what this means is you can now send services bidirectionally over the same fiber. The limitations for coherent transceivers no longer exist in a hollow core fiber world. Microsoft, in conjunction with one of the universities in London, and I can't remember which one, recently started transmitting 400 terabits over 400 nanometers optical bandwidth over 60 kilometers in the O band. So we're talking about 400 terabits in one direction, 400 terabits in the other direction over the same optical fiber. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see there where they're using it in the loss is 0.11 dB at 1550 nanometers, and they're also running at 1020 nanometers. And I'll come on to that in a little while. So performance of hollow core fiber. A third reduction in latency. 30% reduction in latency. Low linearity, so more power, fewer amplifiers because 99% of the light is in air. Non-linear increases bit rates and distance, no backscattering in air. So as I mentioned, you can use coherent BiDi transceivers. We have a low thermal sensitivity, no glass, so better delay stability. Radiation hardness opens up a whole new world of applications that I haven't thought of yet. Maybe CERN, because particle collisions. What are the applications in space? What are the applications in aerospace and defense? And I come on to the space one in a little bit further. High power handling. We're talking 2.5 kilowatts of power now, potentially, over hollow core fiber. No longer will we be constrained by milliwatts of power. It also means that you can, no amplifiers, and you can use the whole bandwidth. geometrically defined limitations go away. So I'll come on to this again, but your data centers don't have to be as close together because of latency issues. At the change of reflective index with the wavelength, there's less modal dispersion. It's not zero, but much, much lower. And lower attenuation, 50%, half of the attenuation versus single mode fiber. I understand that this drawing will take a little bit of explaining. So on the top left, you've seen some different colors, the red, the purple, and the bluish in the visible near infrared. That's a certain type of hollow core fiber. That's not necessarily dual-nested nodeless anti-resonant fiber. On the right-hand side, you see one in green as well, so there's some work being done in that window as well. If you could focus just for the moment on the blue bits in the middle, in the telecom bands, as I've called it, which are working between like the 1200 to 1800 nanometer range. This is typically where your DWDM services are running in the C and the L band. But look at the attenuation. The black dotted line, I almost walked across there to show you then. The black dotted line is the attenuation on a typical single mode fiber. And that's why those frequencies were chosen many years ago, because that's the lowest attenuation. I'm ignoring the water peak because most fiber has now gone past that, but that's why the telecoms band are used in that level. The brown dotted line at the bottom is the modeling prediction. So this isn't real. These haven't been tested across all of these lambdas, but theoretically you can now run between 600 and 2,200 nanometers. Hasn't been tested yet. But the attenuation, which is the dotted black line in the L band, as already talked about, is significantly lower. So the message is that yes, there's lots of different types of hollow core fiber out there. But in the telecoms world, we're very much focused on the DNANF. When we get out, just one other point, when we get out to the 1800 and 2200 nanometer range, I have no idea what they're going to be used for. But I bet you some clever people out there are thinking of new applications out there. But what they are yet, I don't know. I don't know. This is a whole new world, as I mentioned earlier. So the hyperscalers, Microsoft acquired Luminosity, and they're scaling their hollow core fiber capabilities. They're also licensing with the likes of Corning and Heraeus, because we're trying to increase production of the hollow core fiber. I've already mentioned that it's significantly differentiation. I'll come on to the data center, within the data centers and between data centers in a minute. And Huber+Suhner have been supplying hollow core fiber cables to Microsoft for a number of years. So we got 32% faster transmission, 50% attenuation, 1,000 times more power, and 10,000 in terms of linearity. So significantly beneficial improvements that hollow core fiber brings. Two main applications today, and that is between data centers. The low latency of hollow core fiber improves service response speed and also extends the reach for distant data centers for constant optical power and latency budgets from around 100 kilometers to 200 kilometers. If you're a hyperscaler, you can now think about your data centers in a much bigger geography. You're not limited so much by geography as you were with single mode fiber. It means that the radius of the potential area to place a redundant data center increases by 50%. So this makes it easier to locate data centers close to available power, and we know power is a big issue, and economic hubs. We are seeing Some service providers begin to trial data center to data center, mainly for financial services customers who are desperate for ultra-low latency. Within a data center, AI clusters especially, we've got to have AI in a presentation, right? We've got to have, it's mandatory these days. So AI clusters, latency between GPUs is a hard limit on completion speed for algorithms, which typically involve a large linear algebra computations distributed between GPUs. With the advent of hollow core fiber, you can now extend the reach of these devices, of these GPUs, both horizontally and vertically. Some studies have shown that you can actually increase the maximum distance by of the radius of these computes by around 70%. So two real deployments that are out there today, and as I said, Luminosity, Microsoft Azure are already running over hollow core fiber within some of their data centers. So everything I've done so far has painted this wonderfully glorious world of hollow core fiber. So we're all just going to start deploying it, right? There's a few problems. First is production capacity and price. Currently, hollow core fiber is at least 10 times the cost of single mode fiber. We expect this to reduce in years to come as we got more manufacturers coming on board. We've talked about Corning and Heraeus. We got Persimmon, OFC, Fukurara, Lin Fiber, and others are coming to market. So we expect the price of hollow core fiber to remain significantly more expensive than single mode fiber for many years to come. So single mode hollow core fiber makes sense, when the business case justify the expense, and if you can actually buy the stuff. The second challenge is the operational practices associated with. So we have to change the operational practices. Hollow core fiber has a much larger bending radius than single mode fiber. Splicing needs to align the microtubes. If you remember the picture of these microtubes, it's no longer just melting them together. So you can splice hollow core fiber, but you would need either new splicers or new programs on your splicers, because the hollow core fiber today effectively melts the glass. You don't want that happening with hollow core fiber. You need to align the microtubes together. And it also needs to be sealed to avoid water contamination and other contaminants coming in there. There is a small capillary action that can happen, so you need to close these hollow core fibers off at some point. It's interesting that the earlier presentation, fascinating presentation about the measurements versus single mode fiber. The OTDR measurements are totally different when it comes to hollow core fiber. So another learning experience if you ever come across hollow core fiber. Ecosystem readiness, this is another one. There's no hollow core fiber standard as yet. We'll have to see how that evolves. The hollow core fiber durability hasn't been proven. I was speaking to a very large operator the other day who explained that back in the 80s they were involved in testing the robustness of hollow core fiber. It hasn't been out there long enough. Nobody really knows, right? So it's still to be tested. And we have to interface with an existing single mode fiber world. Your routers, your switches, your amplifiers, your transceivers, your fiber management systems are all based on single mode fiber. So you have to connect between this single mode fiber infrastructure that's everywhere to a hollow core fiber world. The nanoscale structure means you can't polish and you can get little crystals from water vapor to start at the edges after a few hours, so it needs to be sealed. The cladding diameter is slowly reducing to give you a slightly better bend radius, but it's still significantly larger than single-mode fiber. You need to get as much power from single-mode fiber into hollow core fiber as possible. So you need alignment, you need really close alignment, and you also need to allow, you need to get low backscattering. As picture shown there shows the mode field diameter is significantly different, the single-mode fiber on the left and the hollow core fiber on the right. So these are significantly different sizes. Well, we have a solution. This is a hollow core fiber to single mode fiber connector. It looks very much like a standard LC connector, but it's from a hollow core fiber. So looking from the right back, so it's the interface is a SF single mode fiber 28 fiber. We have an anti-reflectant coated lens. It's cleaved to air to stop back reflection, and it's actively aligned to keep the losses to an absolute minimum. And it's sealed. So we argue that it enables quantum coexistence within classical comms. So there's a number of them out there. Oh, okay. So hollow core fiber can be spliced, but you will have you'll have to watch your insertion loss. So there's cables out there, so you can have hollow core fiber cables today, even with existing so you can mix hollow core fiber and single mode fiber cables in the same drum, if you can get hold of it. There's LC to UPC available. The LC to APC is still work in progress. LC and duplex, and now we're looking at very small form factors and maybe outside plant, but to be determined. Cable assembly, so we can do pigtails, patch cords, and everything else you expect to run in your single mode fiber world, because your single mode fiber, your rack spaces, your cable management systems are not going to disappear overnight. That's what's installed in every data center around the world. So just some other applications to think about. In terms of quantum networks, so light travels closer to its vacuum speed, 30% faster than standard fiber. So you can, it's easier for preserving the quantum state timing. It minimizes photon-to-photon interactions, which is crucial in fragile quantum states. Time synchronization. It's low jitter, improved phase stability, and it supports sub-nanosecond synchronization. Power, I've mentioned already. We're talking 2.5 kilowatts of power has been tested so far, never mind milliwatts. And space. I've got to say, haven't I, the final frontier. So radium resilience, temperature robustness, and precision timing. So these space applications will become really interesting for these hollow core fiber. Which version of hollow core fiber, I don't know. Right, I'm just trying to point the future in terms of what else is out there beyond the wonderful world of telecoms. I'm not going to go through all of this. I've gone through all of this sort of stuff already. Just a reminder on the right-hand side, this is what your hollow core fiber looks like. So it's a low loss, ideal for data centers. 6G networks, I don't know. This is, I don't know. I can't see why. Edge data centers. Low loss, multiple vendors. Yeah, it's still hard to get hold of this stuff. Did I mention the patented hollow core fiber, single mode fiber connectors? I did mention at the beginning of the talk, right? I'm in sales, okay? User cases, Certainly between data centers, high compute data centers, and within data centers is happening today. Maybe connections to customers from a carrier point of view to those low latency networks. There's loads more coming out. Oh yeah, I forgot. I know we've talked about hollow core fiber, but just one quick slide on multi-core fiber. Multi-core fiber is now being deployed in data centers. Basically, what this is showing here is 4 fibers within a cable. It's really useful if you've got space constraints within your data center. Fewer fibers, smaller cables, so you can start deploying it. Some technical challenges yet that I have heard from one operator was that there was some crosstalk between the leaking between the cores. And you still need, at the end of the day, to connect into a single mode fiber world. So even if you're going hollow core fiber, you still have to connect. Your infrastructure is still based around a single mode fiber world. That QR code will take you to the a page on the hollow core fiber to single mode fiber connector. My name's been Steve Jones. I'm on LinkedIn. If you Google Steve Jones, I'm on about page 67, right? Because there's lots of other Steve Joneses, and I'm not the good-looking one. But if you look for Unicorn Farmer, you'll find me on LinkedIn. Any questions? Because I can't see anything, guys, so you'd have to. Oh.
Hi.
Hi.
Just looking forward, it would be significantly harder to manufacture, but would there be much benefit to pulling a vacuum in the fiber, or are we just really close to the limits of relativity?
I heard about the hard manufacture bit. Sorry, I didn't hear this.
It would be significantly harder to manufacture, but would there be much benefit to pulling a vacuum in the fiber so it's not going over air? Or
the problems with putting a vacuum in there, how do you keep that vacuum in there?
Yeah.
So if we're splicing this, what happens to your vacuum?
That's fine.
So, and the manufacturing is going to improve as not only the capacity, i.e. the number of vendors improves, but also the capacity speed. But if we start putting vacuum in there, then we create a whole bunch of other problems that need to be solved as well.
Hello there. We've got one from Alex Gittings on Slack, who has asked, are financial companies jumping on HCF as for high-frequency trading and things?
I'm sure they would be if they could get the hollow core fiber. At the moment, the vast majority of production of hollow core fiber is going to the hyperscalers. At the end of the day, they've got the big bucks, right? And I know some financial services organizations do as well. But at the moment, the vast majority is going there. So personally, I don't know if any financial trading companies are doing that, but I do know that some telcos are trialing that from the likes of Docklands into the city.
Cool, thank you.
Hi, Nick Rice, CommsWorld. Are all your stats based on it being pure hollow core fiber? Does it take into account the single mode to hollow core fiber conversion?
With regard to which aspect? Sorry, Nick.
All the stats that you presented. So because if you're talking about connecting a fiber and a standard optic, that first little bit's going to be glass. And then if you try to get into an amplifier, it needs to be glass to go in and out. Exactly.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, sorry, I understand. So there will be a slight degradation because you will have a single mode fiber bit somewhere. Yeah. But you can, and I should have mentioned earlier, you can still use all your existing transceivers, amplifiers, muxes, and so forth. It'll just push it further and quicker. So they will be, even in that scenario, there are still significant advantages for using hollow core fiber, yes. Maybe not as, because everything today is still based on single mode fiber, so even thinking this through off the top of my head. So even today, these tests have been done with single mode fiber because that's what your transceivers are.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, in the future, who knows in terms of what's your transceivers going to be like when we get to the 1.6 and 3.2 terabit transceivers, right? Are they going to be pluggable transceivers or are they going to be on-board optics? And that becomes another discussion. I don't know if I answered your question or not.
It does, yeah. Thanks. Cheers.
Yeah, Matt Peterson from San Francisco. My question is the splicer. How many manufacturers are making a splicer that supports this technology? And are most deployments not spliced at all?
Most deployments are spliced. So all of your cable splicing manufacturers will have a solution. They'll either try and sell you a new one or update the software on the old one. So you can splice hollow core fiber. You just have to be really careful about how you're doing it and using a specific machine, i.e. you don't want to melt the hollow core fiber. So the splicing manufacturers are already ahead of the game on this.
Like,
if you can afford it and if you can get your hollow core fiber.
right.
Hi, Ivan Beveridge. You mentioned early on about different types of hollow core fibre and what they look like inside. Is that kind of fixed and determined now, or are you still looking at potentially not only the challenge of splicing this type of hollow core fibre with single mode fibre, but also with multiple hollow core fibres with different internals?
Yeah, in the telecoms world, if I can put it that bit, because there's all sorts of hollow core fibre now that are going to come to market that are addressing issues that I haven't even thought about in space or other places. But in the telecoms world, we're seeing dual-nested anti-resonant nodaless fibre and even triple-nested anti-resonance nodaless fibre. So if you're splicing, and there's no standard today. There's no hollow core standard today, right? Today, if you're going to do some splicing, buy it from the same manufacturer.
Okay, and with regards to termination, you'll have the same kind of issues, I guess, as with single mode fibre.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. It's now time.